Hello students, welcome to Oliveboard. So yeah, I think the voice is clear and the PPT is quite visible. I'm so sorry students, today due to some technical glitches, we cannot have uh, a video of me flashing on the right bottom corner of the screen. We'll get it fixed before the next session. If everything is fine for your end, the PPT and my voice, please let me know in the chat box. Just give a thumbs up. All right. Thank you. So welcome again, students, to Oliveboard. I'm your mentor, I would say, for RBI Grade B descriptive examination. And what we are trying to do, all right. So what we are trying to do for last 7 sessions. This is eighth in a row that we are trying to see what significant developments took place in the last week and how we can frame certain questions so that we are able to revise the content briefly, and then we can also formulate certain questions and simultaneously get a hands-on experience of how to decode the demand of the question, how to structure the content, and ultimately how to present it. So I think it's going fine. The feedback seems good enough. And as usual, I would say, please be more interactive in the class. That will improvise the quality of the discussion, right? Yeah, so without any further discussion of the introduction, the background thing that we do, what I suggest today is that it's been 7 sessions, so we'll not take 3 questions today. We'll only take 2 questions to discuss, 2 topics to discuss, and we will simply have a revision of what all we have discussed on the answer writing part. So that is the third, so as to say, section of today's discussion. So, starting with today's first topic is GI tag. We had a discussion on IPR thing in previous video, I think, intellectual property rights or intellectual property regime. Uh, there was some discussion or questions raised by students pertaining to GI tag also. Is GI tag also coming under intellectual property? Then I said that it is a different kind of ownership claim. Ultimately, this intellectual property or GI tag is something akin to, yeah, something akin to kind of ownership that gives privilege control over who can access that thing, or who is going to pay the price for that thing, or who is going to be paid for that thing. So, what is GI tag? There can be a straightforward question. You can complicate it also as per your requirement. So GI tag, what's the full form of it? Geographical indication. So it's a tag given to a particular cluster of products. Now, what kind of product it is? It is not only a industrially manufactured product, right? The product in discussion can be naturally found in a geographical region, right? For instance, you know that there is Darjeeling tea, right? So it is naturally found, or it is agriculturally cultivated in the plantations of sort of say eastern Himalayas in Assam and Bengal. Similarly, you have Nilgiri coffees, which is produced in the southern part of India, Indian peninsula, right? So that can be naturally found, it can be agriculturally cultivated, and it can be industrially manufactured also. just keep this distinction in mind that it can be all sort of products. What is crucial, however, is geographical location of origin. That is the determinant uh, that sort of improvises or strengthens the claim of a product to get a GI tag. It is not about the ownership of the person. It is not about the ownership of the community. It is not about a particular brand. It is about the geographical location, right? So that is the determinant. You claim, for instance, I have some product name X, let's say, and I want to get a GI tag for it. Then I should be able to propose this in the application that this geographical location, for instance, I come from Kosi region of Bihar, right? This is a area adjacent to Nepal border, northern part of Bihar. So there can be something which is locally very famous, a signature of that area. Let's say makhana. Uh, I actually don't remember the English name for it. You can Google it, makhana. It can be used as a snack, dry snack. It can be also used as a in making of pudding. Nowadays, because of superfoods, it is becoming very popular with the urban upper middle class as a healthy snack. So now that product is produced in a geoclimatic environment where there should be a lot of water. In the wetlands it is produced. So that is some kind of product which can probably think of getting a GI tag. So this point should be very clear in your mind that it is about geographical location of the origin of the product, right? Next, there should be a thing of guarantee of quality and originality. After all, why do we prefer Darjeeling tea? Because we are very sure that if it is actually coming from the plantations of Darjeeling, it will have a kind of quality which can be unparalleled. Anybody can sell tea. It can be produced in n number of geographical locations which have suitable climatic conditions, precipitation, temperature, humidity, soil, labor for production of tea. But the moment we listen Darjeeling tea, we have an impression in the mind. There is a guarantee of quality and originality. Similarly, with basmati rice, or similarly with Chanderi silk, or Banarsi silk, or Tirupati laddu, Bengali rasagulla, these are the things which have become a trademark unto themselves, right? So, or for instance, Kashmiri willow cricket bat. So these are the things we vouch for. We are ready to pay a lot of price if we are sure of the origin of the product, right? And we also have this factor in mind that okay, it may be claiming that it is Darjeeling tea, but who knows it is actually coming from Darjeeling or not. So what this discussion suggests is that the crucial thing is the geographical origin. This point should be well conveyed to you. Now it is up to you to keep certain uh, 10 15 examples in mind, right? 10 15 examples in mind, and try to cover different geographical areas ranging from Kashmir to Gujarat to Kanyakumari to northeast of India, Assam, Meghalaya, Manipur. Just try to have a collage, 15 20 names in mind, and get basic details about the thing, that what is so special about it. Also, when did it get the GI tag? अगर कोई debate है उसके around, that also should be clear to you. What can be debate? एक नया example लेते हैं. Recently there was a debate and conflict between Odisha and Bengal contesting for the GI tag of Rasgulla. Now, in popular discourse, we assume that the origin of Rasgulla is from Bengal, but Odia people have contested it. Because if you look at the boundary of Bengal and Odisha, there is a lot of what you call the zone of transition. At the border areas, you have people who can speak both Bangla and Odia. On the Odia side, you will have influence of Bangla language, and on the Bangla side, you have influence of Odia language. So it seems logical also that There cannot be a sharp line dividing the production of Rasgulla. Of course, because it's a cultural product, and cultural does not respect the administrative boundaries. Okay, for instance, you draw a boundary between India and Pakistan, but that does not mean that culture will shift sharply alongside that boundary. If you go to Pakistani side, you will see a completely different culture, right? This thing is very simple. For instance, we have a lot of a long boundary with Nepal. So on the Terai belt of Bihar and Nepal, there will be cultural continuum. A person in Mithila will relate more with Madhesi people of Nepal and less with Bhojpuri people of Bihar. I think this should also be clear to you. So keep certain examples of contestation around GI tag also in mind. For instance, with respect to basmati rice, it is not only produced in India, western part of India or Haryana, Punjab. It is also produced in some provinces of Pakistan. So वहां पर भी ये debate हम लोगों को देखने को मिला था. So 2-3 good examples can be taken and you can read a bit about it. Now, how does someone get a GI tag? Today we have this question because last week we had some product from 3 different states qualifying under GI tag. So this is the answer to Bruce's question, that why are we discussing this? So probably you can go and check out that 3 products were granted GI tag. It is your responsibility to keep a track of these developments. It's very important because GI tag is not given every single day. So क्या क्या important है? Factually, you should remember the issuing authority. Who is the ultimate authority to finally give GI tag first? Then you should be clear with the procedure. So how does it start? It starts with an application of claim that, okay, this thing we want GI tag with, right? You submit an application, you build your case, then the authority scrutinizes your claim कि आपके बात में मेरिट है या नहीं है, वहां डिबेट तो नहीं है, is it very exclusive to that geography or not, right? Then you have this thing called uh, opposition. You have a lot of opposition. It is invited. It is first published in the journal that this thing is going to be given GI tag. Then opposition is invited. That do you want to contest this claim, right? For instance, this is how the conflict between Rasgulla or Basmati rice would have been appeared. So then people contest it, then that contestation resolved, किसी एक को मिलता है या joint रूप से मिलता है, that authority sees, and ultimately it is registered. So that's how GI tag is given. Now, what one cannot do once somebody gets a GI tag? Suppose I sit in Bihar, then I cannot sell uh, Rasgulla. I can sell a sweet made of milk and paneer or chena, whatever you call it, but I cannot brand it as Rasgulla of Bengal because this means a kind of theft of identity. I cannot also sell simple other brands of rice, other varieties of rice claiming to be basmati rice. It is a offense, criminal offense. So again, homework associated with this question is go and check out what is the penalty associated with it. What if somebody forges the identity and sells something which is covered under GI tag and is not belonging to that region? What is the procedure and how action is taken? And you of course have a lot of plagiarism, I would say, which is happening in this kind of sector. For instance, a snack in northern India is bhuja. Now you have Banarasi bhuja, which is very famous. You go nook and corners of Bihar, there will be people saying that this is Banarasi bhuja. Now who is going to check it is actually that or not? So this kind of plagiarism is there because monitoring is very difficult. How do you control the small corners of street where people are forging the identity or not, right? So this is important. Next question, we will see again a very important debate which keeps propping up once in a while. It has been going on for last 3 decades, since 1991 when this Collegium system came into place, and it is a debate which is not resolvable in the near future also. So since this is a very catchy term, you should know about it briefly. What is Collegium System regarding the higher judiciary in India? So this much everybody knows that judiciary should be independent, right? That is the essence of a judiciary. Suppose there is a conflict between two parties and it is the umpire, basically umpire, which is going to resolve the debate. Now if the umpire itself is taking the side of one party, then there is no point in having that kind of umpire. So judiciary should be independent. This is a something which is acceptable across the board, right? Now our constitution says that president appoints the judges of higher judiciary. When I say higher judiciary, I mean to say Supreme Court of India and High Court of different states. It is not about district courts and other district level civil courts, right? It is only about High Court and Supreme Court of India. So president appoints. Now this uh, term has been a matter of debate. President appoints in consultation with the Chief Justice of India. This was written. Now there have been three judges case, which is the second last bullet point of this particular slide. Judiciary means, Deepika, basically the courts of India. You have Supreme Court of India, you have High Court in different states of India, then at district level you have courts. So that is what judiciary means. It is a topic of Indian polity, Indian constitution, right? So when it was said that president appoints in consultation with the Chief Justice of India, there have been various interpretations that what does it mean to consult Chief Justice of India? Does it mean that whatever Chief Justice is saying, President is going to follow him, or simply consult him, take his opinion into consideration, that's all? Or is it legally binding on the President to accept what the Chief Justice is saying? This was one of the debate. Another debate was that what it means to consult the Chief Justice. Is it only the Chief Justice of India, or is it Chief Justice along with senior most judges of Supreme Court of India? So I'll not go into further detail of that. Ultimately, what happened after three judges case, the balance of power with respect to appointment of judges of higher judiciary was tilted in favor of the judiciary of India. Now it is being said president appoints, but president has been reduced to a signature only. The decision is taken by senior most judges of the Supreme Court, or of course headed by Chief Justice of India. Chief Justice of India plus four or five senior most judges of India, Supreme Court of India. They together suggest some names. Let's say five new judges have to be appointed in different higher judiciary, Supreme Court and High Court. Now they will give the suggestion, right? They will give a list of recommendation, and president will see it. It will of course discuss with the Home Ministry, Law Ministry, whatever their discussion of the with the executive of India can be. President will discuss with Prime Minister, Home Minister, Law Minister, Cabinet Ministers, and once it can return, suppose executive, the government of India, and president feels that this particular name should not have been there, and this particular judge should have been included, which is not there in the list, then it can send it for them to reconsider, right? Then Chief Justice of India along with senior most judges, that is what Collegium is. The body of Chief Justice of India along with senior most judges of Supreme Court, that is what is Collegium, right? So they will once consider, if they feel that okay, what government of India is saying headed by president is right, then it may or may not accept the advice of the president. This time when Collegium returns the list of recommendation, president is bound to sign it. हो सकता है वो प्रेसिडेंट्स के बारे में जो सुझाया गया है कि आप इस जज को इंक्लूड कर लें, इनको हटा दें, उसको मान के भी कर सकता है रिटर्न, उसको बिना माने भी रिटर्न कर सकता है. Whatever be the condition, once it is considered by the collegium and returned again to the president, he is bound to sign it. Now you only think who is in the reign of power? The collegium. Collegium is calling the shots. So Bruce is asking something. In the newspapers, it's also written that the CM was being appointed by the Honorable Governor of the state. No, Bruce, this is the debate pertaining to judiciary only. What you are talking is something completely different. Yes, so ultimately the governor appoints the CM, but there are a lot of rules and regulations to be followed by the governor. It's not that governor can randomly cherry pick any individual and make him the chief minister of any state. The by and large, the norm is that the party, the leader of the party commanding the majority in the election, in the assembly, will be called by the governor to become the chief minister only if there is a hung assembly. It means no party is singularly commanding the majority. Then governor gains some discretionary power. We'll not go into further detail. You can have a separate discussion on that, right? So this is what Collegium is, a group of senior most judges of Supreme Court. They recommend names to the president and final say is with the judiciary. Now why we keep discussing this? Because there is a argument given by the judiciary that is important to secure the independence of higher judiciary. If government starts appointing the judges, then the independence of judiciary will be compromised, right? Because you must know that if you see the data of pending cases, then government of India and government of different state is the biggest litigator, because there will be a lot of cases between individuals or between one separate party and the state of India. Now एक पार्टी अगर गवर्नमेंट है और गवर्नमेंट ही जज बना रही है, then there will be a bias in favor of the government. The whole point of having a judiciary will be compromised. So it is very right for judiciary to say कि उनकी independence intact होनी चाहिए, and to respect that independence, it is important that appointment of judges should be without the influence of the government, right? ये बात एक है, लेकिन इसका flip side क्या है? Flip side ये है that ultimately it's the collegium which is deciding. Then there is a scope of nepotism. वो जिसको चाहेंगे उसको बना सकते हैं. कभी कभी वो मेरिट का भी ध्यान नहीं रखते. There is a lot of criticism of judiciary having a lot of presence of upper caste of India. Lower caste judges are not present. Then you will also see a parivarwad. For instance, present Honorable Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud, his uncle or his father probably was Chief Justice of India at one point of time. We are not going into criticism of a person as such, because that may come under a contempt of court, but I'm just making a point that there is a very strong case of nepotism in the judiciary, at least in the higher judiciary. Nobody can imagine not having connections and simply entering the higher echelons of judiciary. So government का ये argument है कि आपने एक जिमखाना क्लब बना दिया है. Departed soul of Arun Jaitley, when he was law minister, he had a debate with R.M. Lodha at that time. He was the Chief Justice of India. So this new Arnab Goswami was in earlier channel that time, relatively normal in his debate. So that was a grand debate. You can have a look. So you can have a look at that. What was the debate? Then Arun Jaitley was also trying to say on behalf of the government's position that you have reduced higher judiciary into a Gymkhana club membership. Who are the members? They will decide who is going to come inside. Then what about India being a republic? In the preamble of India, it is written that we are a republic, and republic means offices of power will be open to every individual. It is not a court of a Raja or an empire, ठीक है, that he will call the shots. Public office hai, it should be open. Then everybody should have a chance. But do you think in the present structure of Collegium system, a person coming from a humble background with no precedence of any person being judged in his family or future earlier generation can enter? It's tough. So this is the problem. So I think the sum and substance of Collegium system is clear to you. Coming to our last part of our discussion of today's session, we will simply revisit what we have learned in answer writing part. So before we move ahead, you can add some comments. Yeah, so revisiting answer writing. So I've been repeatedly talking to you guys about these particular things. You can have either a photograph of this, or you can have a screenshot, or you can simply write down to preserve these things. So first, it is important to decode the demand of the question, right? It is not important in a straightforward question like what is GI tag, but still in that question also you can have this approach in mind, that when you practice answer writing, and let me almost warn you again and again, don't think that you will simply listen to these sessions and approach of answer writing and you can directly deploy and utilize it in the examination. It is not going to happen. It has never happened for anybody. So it is very important to try it once. And I would say try this at home. It is risk free. It is risky if you try it in the examination. So try it in the preparation mode to deploy this framework and see if it helps you. See if it helps you save time, if it helps you better structure your answers, stick to the demand of the question and complete it within a space, word and time, right? So first decode the demand of the question. There are two types of demand in any question: implicit and explicit demand. Explicit means what is categorically asked, what is GI tag. बट इम्प्लिसिट क्या है? छुपा हुआ. एक्सप्लिसिट मीन्स जो दिख रहा है. इम्प्लिसिट मीन्स जो दिख नहीं रहा है लेकिन आपको लिखना चाहिए. एक्सप्लिसिट मतलब ये नहीं लिखेंगे तो नंबर आने का सवाल ही नहीं है. इम्प्लिसिट का मतलब अगर लिखेंगे तो बेहतर नंबर आएंगे. ठीक है? And that is 1.5 mark or half mark, 1 mark that makes the crucial difference in selection. So implicit क्या है GI tag वाले क्वेश्चन में? एग्जाम्पल लेके बात कर ले. Who is the authority? What is the procedure? What is the significance? Some examples. There is a lot of implicit demand. जितना क्वेश्चन डायरेक्ट होगा, implicit demand उतनी ज्यादा होंगे क्योंकि आपने फ्रेम बहुत सिंपली कर दिया है. ठीक है? सो मेक अ लिस्ट ऑफ व्हाट ऑल यू आर गोइंग टू कवर. पहले आप छोटा सा लिख लें कि आप क्या 5 चीजों को इसमें टच करने वाले हैं. देन स्ट्रक्चर इट. स्ट्रक्चरिंग मीन्स पहले क्या आएगा उसके बाद क्या आएगा. डोंट राइट रैंडमली, starting anywhere and ending anywhere. Have a flow in the answer. So you have to structure it. You have to organize the flow. That first write a basic definition of GI tag. Another very important approach can be to write current discussion first to grab the attention of the evaluator. GI tag was in the news last year because these 3 things were given GI tag. इस तरह से भी आप open कर सकते हैं. Then you can write what is GI tag, I mean definition of it. Then you can write its significance, you can write its procedure of allocation, and last you can write about apprehensions, challenges. Challenge क्या है? Contestation. दो पार्टी एक साथ क्लेम कर रहे हैं तो आप क्या करेंगे, राइट? तो इस तरह से आप कंक्लूड कर सकते हैं. प्रेजेंटेशन पार्ट में व्हाट यू कैन डू, ऑलवेज हैव अ हेडिंग. डोंट राइट एनीथिंग विदाउट हेडिंग. डोंट फोर्स द इवेलुएटर टू रीड द एंटायर कंटेंट, कि आप 250 वर्ड मैंने लिख दिया है, आप पढ़ लो, देख लो कहाँ क्या है. डोंट डू इट. हेल्प द इवेलुएटर नो वेयर यू आर राइटिंग व्हाट. राइट. वाई इन न्यूज पहले हेडिंग दे देंगे तो उसको पता चल जाएगा दैट यू आर हियर, यू आर मेंशनिंग द करंट डेवलपमेंट. चैलेंजेस जब आप लिखेंगे तो उसको पता रहेगा कि इस पैराग्राफ में आपने चैलेंज लिखा है. ये क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है? समटाइम्स स्टूडेंट्स अंडर एस्टिमेट द पावर ऑफ दिस फॉर्मूला. सपोज इवेलुएटर भी एक आदमी है, इज नॉट ए मशीन. some papers he may evaluate in rush. So at that time, सपोज उसके पास एक पेपर आता है जिसमें बहुत अच्छे से हेडिंग दिया हुआ है, अंडरलाइन किया हुआ है कीवर्ड्स, उसको आप बचा लेते हैं पूरा कंटेंट पढ़ने से, और वो ज्यादा मार्क्स आपको देंगे, क्योंकि उनको ये तसल्ली हो जाएगी कि जिसने हेडिंग सही से दिया है, इट मीन्स इस स्टूडेंट को पता है कि इसमें क्या चीजें आनी है. भले आप उसके कंटेंट में बहुत अच्छा ना लिखे हो डिस्क्रिप्टिव पार्ट में, लेकिन हेडिंग और अंडरलाइनिंग ठीक है, तो ये कम्युनिकेशन हो जाता है कि इसने सब चीज को कवर किया है. और कवर तो वही करेगा जिसको पता होगा. सो ये बेनिफिट ऑफ डाउट आपको मिल जाता है. ठीक है, एंड इट्स नॉट अ बिग डील, यू कैन डू इट. एंड ओपनिंग एंड कंक्लूडिंग इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. कंक्लूजन के बारे में मैंने हमेशा कहा है, डोंट राइट समथिंग वेरी न्यू इन द कंक्लूजन. Conclude means conclude, ending the issue, ending the discussion, and always prefer to have a forward looking conclusion. अगर हमारा क्वेश्चन लेट्स से एनपीए पर है, नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट, डोंट एंड विद ऑप्टिमिस्ट पेसिमिस्टिक कंक्लूजन दैट इट इज वेरी सैड दैट इतना लाख करोड़ इंडिया का फंसा हुआ है, willful defaulters हैं. Always suggest that these three things should be done to handle the issue of NPA. और गवर्नमेंट ने अगर कुछ स्टेप लिया है, गवर्नमेंट इज कमिंग अप विद दिस मैकेनिज्म टू हैंडल द इशू ऑफ एनपीएस, सो दैट उसको लगे कि आप एक ऑप्टिमिस्टिक माइंडसेट से देख रहे हैं इशू को, पेसिमिस्टिक माइंडसेट से नहीं. सॉल्यूशन सेंट्रिक अप्रोच है आपका, प्रॉब्लम सेंट्रिक नहीं. तो ट्राई टू कम्युनिकेट दिस वेरी क्लियरली इन द कंक्लूजन पार्ट. ये स्ट्रक्चर और प्रेजेंटेशन की बात है. इफ यू टॉक अबाउट एनरिचमेंट ऑफ कंटेंट अ बिट, since it is largely economy and a bit of IR environment, always have data in your answer. Don't write that it is uh, a lot of global warming is taking place. Don't write this. It does not make any sense. Write with respect to 1750s, 1.35% degree Celsius of average temperature is increased. Right? Overall carbon emission has increased by this much ton. Right? Average let's say sea level rises this millimeter. एक तो उस तरह से आप स्पेसिफिसिटी का ध्यान रखें. सेकेंड, wherever you cite some data, back up with the source, कि इस रिपोर्ट में ये बात कही गई है. राइट? ब्रूस ने नहीं कही है, या राहुल ने नहीं कही है, या दीपिका ने नहीं कही है, वर्ल्ड बैंक ने कहा है, IMF ने कहा है, ठीक है, IUCN ने कहा है, UNEP ने कहा है, या पेरिस समिट में यह बात आई. बैकअप विद द सोर्स, बैकअप विद द नेम ऑफ इंस्टीट्यूशंस. If there is some index pertaining to it, let's say we're talking about poverty, you can have multi-dimensional poverty index. If you have inflation, you can have retail inflation or wholesale inflation. So whatever index is related to that topic, do use it. गवर्नमेंट का पर्सपेक्टिव हमेशा लिखें, और साथ ही साथ एक ऑथेंटिक क्रिटिक का पर्सपेक्टिव लिखें. लेट्स से इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट पेसिमिस्टिक इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ इन 2023, सो गवर्नमेंट का मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस कुछ कहता होगा, RBI कुछ कहता होगा, वो गवर्नमेंट का पर्सपेक्टिव है. एनरिच द आंसर बाय सेइंग हाउएवर क्रिटिक्स लाइक, जैसे इंडियन इकोनॉमी पे कोई बहुत अच्छा इंस्टीट्यूशन है सिविल सोसाइटी का, या दुनिया में कोई है जो इंडिपेंडेंट रिव्यू करता है, जो रेप्यूटेड होना चाहिए, जो पता होना चाहिए सबको. रैंडम एनोनिमस टाइप का बॉडी साइट ना करें. ठीक है? लेट्स से अभिजीत सेन, probably he died, he said something, or Raghu Rajan said something, or let's say some great professor of JNU said something, or some great economist like Amartya Sen says something. ऐसा नाम लिखें जिसको सब जानता हो, जिनकी authority undisputed हो. So this is something I wanted to share at one place, so that एक revision भी हो जाए, and this separate discussion can also organize the content in your mind. And I would encourage that you take the notes of this slide or either a screenshot or photograph or whatever. So this is it from my side, students. Your comments are most welcome. I'm trying to experiment also a bit. धीरे धीरे हम लोग और करते हैं. And your suggestions are more welcome. And do let me know how you look at these sessions, how beneficial are they, or what can we do for better. Thank you so much. Over to you.